So welcome everybody to Talking Torah. Actually, today it's going to be talking Hanukkah.
That's right, yeah.
And we're glad to be with you today as we get ready for the celebration of Hanukkah, which people say is a minor holiday, but you know what? It doesn't feel that way to me. It really doesn't.
Right.
And today in particular, we want to talk about the Chanukiyot, the menorah Chanukiyot, because it is, of course, the fundamental, the great symbol of Hanukkah. I was reading something very interesting, and I'd like to know your thoughts about it.
Sure.
The philosopher Isaiah Berlin said that there are two kinds of symbols. One is a symbol that you can put into words. In other words, if I see a green light, I know what that means. It means go, right?
Yeah.
I see a red light, it means stop.
Right.
And then he says there are certain symbols which are more than words. Mm-hmm. That words just don't go far enough to express what they symbolize. Mm-hmm. Like the American flag. It symbolizes freedom, it symbolizes independence, and symbolizes the sacrifice of our soldiers. 1,000 things. Right. And the same thing with the menorah. Menorah is one of those symbols which, even though it's really small, right? And it can even be smaller than this, and we know it can be very large too.
15 feet.
Yeah, at least that, right? We know that it, as a symbol, you can't even put into words what it means to us and what it has meant to our people.
Right.
So when you look at the menorah, what do you think? What symbols come to mind?
You know, it's funny you say that. As you're talking about that philosophy of the symbols, I actually think the menorah plays both roles. So on the one hand, yes, it symbolizes something that's not tangible, which is, you know, our people, our faith in God, the belief that what was once a six-armed menorah is now an eight-armed menorah, and how the oil was able to extend in that way because of faith in God. I see that. I see a long history, knowing that our ancestors, thousands of years, have been using this symbol, and so that has that great power. But it also is a call to action for me when I look at the menorah. You know, the menorah, it goes really far out, but it all comes back to one central area.
Right.
And so it is a symbol of unity, which, you know, is symbolic like the American flag. But when I see this, it's a call, just like a green light would be, that says we need to be a unified people no matter where we are. You know, no matter how spread out we are on earth, you know, the four corners of the earth. We pray that one day we'll be brought together. That's represented right here in the menorah.
You know, I guess to take that symbol a little bit further, and then I'd like to get into, you know, another symbol of it. You know, if you look at it with the branches extended wide and the shamash here in the middle, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the middle. But, you know, we have people in the Jewish community who are close to our tradition, but then from there it spreads out. And we have people who are on the edges and maybe even a little bit beyond the edges of what we would consider the boundaries of Jewish life. And maybe one of the symbols that we never talk about is the need for us to be the Jews who are committed, to be a shamash and to light some of the faith and commitment of those who are further out, who we need to reach better than we have in the past, who we need to make believe that they have a place in the Jewish community and that Judaism can have a role in their lives. So that's something that we need to do, you know, as a community, all of us, more often than we do. But then again, there is, you know, that very basic symbol that, you know, you say to yourself, here's something which in various forms, you know, 1,000, 2,000, who knows how many thousand different types of menorot, Chanukiyot there have been over the years. But it all comes down to the same thing. It all comes down to that moment when we light the Chanukiyah, and in a sense, it connects us to that decisive moment of miracle back in the temple. And that moment which has allowed our people to believe from generation to generation to generation that there must be, we can bring about other miracles that will sustain our people in our own generation.
Yeah, the miracle, what would really be a miracle is when, God willing, one day we'll all be brought back together, and when we'll be able to connect to all of the branches. That's a miracle that we can actively work toward. And just like the Chanukiyot really represents the miracle of Hanukkah, it represents that we have the ability to make a difference in this world. What I think we're going to do is we'll take a break here, but next week we'll also talk about, we'll have an extended conversation about the significance of the Chanukiyot, because there's just so much here that we want to talk about, and Hanukkah is a long enough holiday, we can spread it out. But I know that you wanted to say a big plug, because this is all we're plugging these days, is the Light Up the Night. I made my video. I don't know, if you haven't seen it, make sure that you see it. Rabbi Klein provides an Oscar-worthy performance.
Yes.
And but we're pushing Light Up the Night 2, and I wanted to give you a chance.
Thank you. Folks, Light Up the Night 2, December 18th, 7 p.m. I want to tell you why this is important. This is not just about bringing the record back to Merrick. It's not about, it's a little bit about that. All right. We'll be honest, it's a little bit about that. But it's about something more. I know that there were people who were here the first time we did it, who felt an extraordinary sense of pride. Not that we were breaking a record, although that was there, but that there were 1,000 Jews together, maybe a little bit more, who had come together to celebrate Hanukkah in the biggest way possible. One of the newscasters called it the greatest celebration of Hanukkah on Long Island, if not in the metropolitan area. Right. And it was a great moment. And I think it's one of those moments that we want to experience ourselves. We would love our children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews to experience as well. Because you rarely get 1,000 or more Jews, and we're gunning for, 1,000 menorah lit at one time in one place. So we anticipate there'll be many more than 1,000 people. But the experience of being together in that venue, everybody reciting, singing together the brachot, that's an experience that everyone will remember, and it is the most fitting celebration of Hanukkah that we could share together. That's why we want you there. And if we get the record, I don't want to say if, but when we get the record, that'll be the icing on the cake.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure to come. Don't make any other plans for December 18th, Thursday, December 18th at 7 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be, if you've never done it before, this is my first time. I wasn't here 3 years ago, so you'll be in my camp. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. That's what everybody is saying. So make an effort to come out.
Remember, bring a menorah. Everyone bring their own menorah.
Yeah, that's the key.
And we'll have some available. We'll have about 100 or so available. But we need you to bring your own. We would love you to bring 4 candles with you. We'll take care of the rest. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful experience here at the Merrick Jewish Center. Let's light up the night together. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.